minute. Let me see. Somebody's asking. Okay. Okay. So that's done. All right. Okay, so we have 2 people now. Okay, so okay. So we're gonna wait a little, like 3 more minutes, and we're gonna start. So whoever cannot attend because whatever that may be, that's fine. As all the shooting that we're currently doing, they're all being recorded, and everyone can check it out later and go through it. So let's see, a little bit more and we'll begin. So let's see. All right. So let me see what else is in here. Okay. So we're gonna start then. So today's shiur is, we're gonna start with prayer. We're currently going through the Halachah for women. We have a group, all other women who are in this stream are already part of the shiur. I'm sorry. They're already part of the WhatsApp group, and they're currently familiar with what we've been going through. So I think it's Jewish prayer is specifically for women. I'm very pro prayer for women to be davening, and the women from the Chavurah know I'm always like saying women daven. I'm always on that all the time. I'm talking about it as much as I can talk about it. So but I also think that it's important, as the class years will be saying, is it's to hold on a second. So anyways, okay. So it's important to define and go back to basics and say, what is Jewish prayer? And I think one of the books, I don't know if you see one of my husband's books, is very simple and is extremely easy to understand. And so I'm going to show you. This is his book. It's What is Jewish Prayer? Introduction to the Theology of Jewish Prayer. And I wanted to quote a quote from his book, and I think it really defines in a simple way what is Jewish prayer. So I'm going to read it to you. It says, almost every religious tradition includes a form of prayer or meditation. That being the case, what exactly characterizes prayer as Jewish? Jewish prayer utilizes the idioms and expressions of the Hebrew Bible and the sages of Israel. The Hebrew Bible is a foundation of Jewish faith. The end of prophecy and the closing of the biblical canon is the Second Temple era, did not end the vibrant spirituality of the Jewish people. So I want you to really think about, like, if you want to think about the image of what is supposed to look like, what a Jewish prayer looks like. Want to think about being several people inside the synagogue, and they can be Jews from Mexico, Jews from the United States, Jews from Israel, Jews from France, Jews from Morocco, from any part of the world, and they're all right there in the same place. But they're all uniting as one davening in Hebrew. They're all speaking the same as one. And that is really an image that shows what is Jewish prayer. It's a very powerful image to be uniting as one people. And because we are one people. And that's something that we should really think about, keep in mind while we are thinking about Jewish prayer. So a few of the key prayers within the Siddur is Baruch Shamar, Yamidah, Alenu, Kiddush, Havdalah, and so on. And they are ascribed to the Anshe Knesset Gedolah, the men of the Great Assembly. So today we're going to begin with the fundamentals of the blessings of Birkat HaTorah. Birkat HaTorah is often understood as a bracha of gratitude to Torah's given at Sinai. We give thanks to Hashem for the Torah before we begin to our study of it. So we're going to dive right now into the halakha. So the halakha for single women and for women who are unoccupied with children, for their children, are required to daven the Shemona Esrei twice a day, as Shahari and Mincha. According to the Mishnah Berurah 1064, numerous poskim Mishnah Berurah Ibid from Magen Avraham state that women who are too busy caring for their children to daven are excused from doing so for Shemona Esrei. But they do have to make an effort to recite the Birkat HaTorah or Birkat HaShachar at the very least. But it's also important to mention that this is the strictest view. The Mishnah Berurah holds the strictest view. But I wanted to also note that women who are occupied or taking care of the children, they're doing one of the holiest acts a woman can do. They're raising Jewish children. And I know they're saying you are not obligated to do so, but you should strive to do so. Why? I mean, why is this such a push so much for davening for Jewish prayer? We know that, all of us who are mothers know that how incredibly stressful motherhood can be. And Jewish motherhood it's a little bit, might say a little more, because in many respects we are the ones that I believe in spiritual, we are like the one that leads the home spiritually. We are the ones that is passing on Torah to the children. So besides the everyday things, we as mothers, as Jewish mothers, need to have the knowledge and the know-how to be able to do so. We have to become studious in Torah and learned in Torah to be able to raise those children and pass that Jewish identity to them and that love of Hashem to them. And that can only come, one, Torah study, and two, prayer. Those two things that we can pass on. If our children see us praying with intention, with kavana, and they do see, we think they don't see, but they do see. They do see everything that we do. For example, my middle child, my most oldest children, my little one too. But when they see, my children see when I intensify in prayer, because like what I do mainly almost every day is I daven I daven, and then after that I say Tehillim. And then after that, I do Torah, a little bit of Torah study, whatever, the Parsha, weekly Parsha, or some other books that I'm going through. And when they see that, then I see my son grabbing his own Siddur and getting it. I see the product of them seeing me or seeing my husband when he davens as well. So we are, without telling them, hey, y'all don't go get your siddur and start davening. He does it on his own because he's seeing through example as to what we're doing. And it's so important that we strengthen ourselves in our own Yiddishkeit, in our own path with Torah, and our relationship with Hashem, so that can be passed on to them. And besides the fact that we're the ones that teach them. So, and also not to mention the fact that prayer is something that, and I explained it on the kosher meditation video, prayer is extremely important. But while you're praying, especially when you're praying with spontaneous prayer, you're meditating. But if your mind is already meditating on Torah, which if it's filled with Torah, you're already meditating. So while you're davening with intention, what intention means, you're meditating, you're understanding what you are davening at the moment. And then therefore you're praying with intention. So, and that achieves what that achieves is it brings healing, it brings you peace, it eases your soul, it feeds your soul. And when it does that, if it improves your soul and it improves your mind and if it improves your well-being, by consequence, it's going to improve the well-being of your family, it's going to improve the well-being of your children. Because you know how our children, they're like little sponges. They absorb everything parents are feeling or going through, even if we don't intend it to be. But that's just how it is. So, it's while we're doing that, it's important to, as I mentioned, train ourselves. And there's a part of the Asher Tzad. It's important. It's actually mentions what I'm trying to convey to you. It says, "Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, who formed man with wisdom and created with him many openings and many hollow cavities. It is obvious and known before your throne of glory that if one of them were to be ruptured, or if one of them were to be blocked, it would be impossible to survive and to stand before you, even for a short period of time. Blessed are you, Hashem, who heals the flesh and acts wondrously." It's talking mainly about the physical aspect of our physical body. Of course, it's most obvious, but it's also, if we cannot have a healthy mind, body, and soul, then how are we supposed to stand before Hashem? So prayer achieves a mental health, a spiritual health, and Torah study, and all of it, because it's a mitzvah for you to take care of your body. And that's partly one of the things that Torah teaches. And all those three things make the reality that you can stand before Hashem every single day. And that's what we say, Asher Yatzar. Thank you, Hashem, for letting me be before you and serve you, and for all the cavities, all the openings to be opened. So that's why it says prayer is it's impossible to survive if anything is blocked. If you're blocked spiritually, it's impossible to survive spiritually. If your mind is blocked, then how is Torah going to come in to be able to do the healing, and for that Torah to become an action, and to bring it into us a lifestyle, and for Torah to be able to get around, like it's just passed on to your household. How is that going to happen? It can't happen. So So that's why it is so incredibly important that the women to be really immersed in Torah, so that we can achieve that healing, and we can achieve that passed on Torah to our children, and then generations to generations to generations to generations, and pass on the Yiddishkeit to them, so they don't go anywhere else. So nothing moves them. It has to be to that level that nothing moves our children from the path before Hashem. So if we pass on that strength, and we pass on that identity as Jews, then nothing is going to move them. And the relationship with Hashem, they're going to pass it on to their children. So I'm going to go again through my notes. Yes. And okay. So I also wanted to say that it's important to say that Judaism is a religion that confronts us with wisdom and accountability. And the fact that our relationship with Hashem is not based on feeling, but based on responsibility and discipline. It's not about I don't feel like praying. It's about I'm gonna honor you, Hashem, and I love you because I love you. I'm gonna be disciplined and get up in the morning and honor you and daven. So it's something that you create a habit, and when you're starting out, it's okay. It's starting out in a Jewish life, and you're going through a conversion process. It takes a time to establish that habit, and it's important that for you to understand that you have to be patient with yourself, and so that it doesn't create that kind of exasperations or being upset because you couldn't do it, or you didn't do it as you're supposed to, and so on. And so it's important that it start in small increments. Don't try to do like everything at once. Start with small things. And start with okay, moderni, until I die, and just with those two. And if you can include more, include more. 3 things, 3 prayers every day. Create the habit first, and then you include one more thing, and then you include one more thing, and another prayer, another prayer, another prayer, until you get to I did all the Amidah. I did the morning blessings, everything that I need to be doing, and then until that's done. Okay, I'm already established that habit. Okay, now I advise that you include Tehillim as one of the most. I'm going to do much later on, a class on Tehillim, why it's incredibly important. And if you can include one or two Psalms, do that. And after that, Torah study. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be 2 paragraphs of the weekly parasha, or 1. That's fine. But be kind to yourself, and it's going to take you time to get there. So okay, let's move on. So we're going to start with Record HaTorah. The Bracha Lasok Divret Torah opens Record HaTorah, which contains the verses of Yivarechecha and the 2 chapters that start Elu Devarim. The Bracha Sher Nasan Lesek opens Record HaShachar, and Hagomer Chatidim Tovim Lamo Israel closes it. All of the women are not legally required to study Torah. The Shulchan Aruch states that women recite Record HaTorah One explanation offered is that women have a duty to understand the halachot that implies to them. Some claim that while women are not obligated to recite Birkot HaTorah, they are free to choose to do so. Either way, a woman is supposed to recite Birkot HaTorah every day. Now, even though, as I mentioned, women are not obligated to study Torah, and the impact that Torah has on the women is immense, especially psychologically and spiritually and emotionally. So as I mentioned before, it's imperative that the woman fills herself with Torah. It's entirely imperative. So as I mentioned before, because one, if it goes to the mind, goes to the soul, and becomes an action. So it's that level of importance. We want those actions and your mind to be so filled that your actions are linked to Torah and to Hashem. So everything that you do on a daily basis it's linked to Hashem and Torah. And whatever comes your way, you're gonna resolve it Hashem's way, not your way. It's extremely important, and you understand this. Because the moment that your mind is filled with Torah, you're gonna be doing it in Hashem's way. So okay, so we're gonna moving on with Birkot HaShachar. The 15 Berachot of Birkot HaShachar express gratitude to Hashem for everything that He provides for us every day. It is definitely acceptable for women to say these things. Whether they must do so is a question. Whether it's advisable to recite this Berachot prior to the 4 halakhic hours of the day, known as Siman Tefillah or Chasot. Those who rely on the belief that they can be recited throughout the day, including while sleeping, should not be discouraged from doing so. Women who would be required to recite the mitzvah is not a mitzvah, say She'er HaZaman Grama, which is positive mitzvah that is governed by time. Women also seem to be required to say this brachot on a daily basis because they are part of the idea of giving thanks to Hashem for everything. Gratitude is something that is an exercise that one should be doing on a daily basis. Because when you're aware that everything comes from Hashem and what you have in your life, everything comes from Hashem, then your mindset is going to change from the negative to the positive. And it's important that you change it because, as I was mentioning on the question meditation, the human mind has a tendency for gravitating toward the negative. And one has to train one's mind to shift it every time. So every time you can do that through prayer, meditation, and shift it every time that whatever negativity comes our way. Because our minds are, if you think about it, even when I'm saying these words, images are automatically coming into your head. Because Hashem made us that way. That's why it's so important that you fill yourself with Torah. Because if you don't fill with Torah, you're going to fill it with something else. You say you want to think about it, worries about work. You're going to try to look for answers where you shouldn't be looking for answers. You got everything or filled with negative feelings and negative thoughts. So when your mind is totally filled with tefillah, like prayer, then you're going to go directly to it. And your trust is in trusting Hashem, and your emunah, your faith in Hashem, will increase. And it just happens. And for instance, when I daven and I start and I go to Tehillim, if I'm anxious about something and I focus on Tehillim, it decreases my anxiety exponentially about whatever issue that I may be having at the time or whatever worry I may be having at the time. It shifts my mind because I am meditating and focusing on Hashem in that moment. Okay, so let's move on. Matavu. That collection of the 5 Pesukim known as Matuvu describes the beauty of attending the synagogue to daven. The Pesukim consider that these verses can be recited even by individuals who daven at home, including women who typically do not attend synagogue. But I wanted to note that a Matuvu is not something that is in a Sephardic tradition. We only do certain phrases, so Matuvu is done mostly by the Ashkenazi tradition. So again, I'm mentioning most opinions would say that women are not obligated to go to synagogue, but I would really, really urge you to really do so. It's something that it fills you and is necessary. So if you attend to synagogue and your children come with you and they live it through you, then guess what? That is going to pass on to them. And it's extremely important because, for example, when our Chavurah, it's the most beautiful thing. Believe me, it's so beautiful. When during the service, and then the women are davening, and then the men on the other side are davening, and then one of the children, they're running around, and they're going back and forth, and then you think they're not listening, but they are listening. So one of the beautiful children, or Chavurah, this little girl, beautiful, just stops at that moment, stops playing, and starts singing one of the prayers and dancing to it. And believe me, that is like, it put a smile on my face, and I almost wanted to cry because I just thought, we're doing it. This is exactly what it's about. This is exactly what is it about, passing it on to our generations, and for them to see and have that love for Hashem that is so pure, they would stop and start davening with the rest of the community and dancing. That is just beyond beautiful, and that is what it's all about, truly. So as mothers, if you bring your child to the synagogue and they see you davening for Hashem and watching the men and women daven, you're strengthening them. Their souls are absorbing it, and their minds are absorbing it, and you're feeding their minds and souls. That's such a beautiful thing. And so that's why it's so incredibly important that prayer is so important. It's part of our identity as Jews. So okay, so let's move on. See, I'm gonna go to Adon Olam. The authorship of the Song of Praise for Hashem, Adon Olam, is unknown. Nobody knows. According to our sages, those who say it with an appropriate focus will undoubtedly have their prayers answered before Hashem. And it is definitely recommended that women memorize it. It's a beautiful, beautiful prayer. So let's move on. Yigdal. Yigdal is a 13-line poem that draws an inspiration from the 13 Ani Ma'amins, or the 13 principles of faith, found in the Shlosha Asar Ikarim. While it's not required, many people do recite this every day. Korbanot. Surprisingly, a lot of poskim believe that women have a daily need to read the passages from Korbanot, as they are required to do tefillah, which serves as a stand-in for the Korbanot, or sacrificial offerings delivered into the Beit HaMikdash. They will also be required to perform the Korbanot passages. Many, though, disagree. Since women are not required to contribute to the Korbanot in the Beit HaMikdash, they are also excused from reciting the Korbanot. This appears to be the general practice among women. Some portions are more important than others for women to say the Korbanot. One section of the Korbanot that some women do recite is Korban HaTamid, for instance. The current standard view is that women are not obligated to say Korbanot. So let's move on. Pesukei de Simra are verses where we praise Hashem. According to the Mishnah Berurah, which I'm going to mention, it's the strictest view. Women are required to recite Shemona Esrei, which is introduced by Pesukei de Simra. Therefore, it is also expected for them to perform Pesukei de Simra before Shemona Esrei. Some argue that it is not required to be recited. However, a woman ought to make an effort to speak as much as she can about Pesukei Simra. When pushed for time, one should recite the Baruch Shamar, Ashrei, and Yishtabach as part of the absolute minimum. So the minimum is Baruch Shamar, Ashrei, and Yishtabach. That's the absolute minimum. And this is according to the Mishnah Berurah, which is again is the most strictest view. When reciting the Pateach et Yadecha in Ashrei, women need to focus. If the woman realizes that she's not paying attention before she got to Yishtabach, she should recite the pasuk once more, and they keep on to the end of the Ashrei, and they go back where she stopped. The definition of the definition of Pesukei Simra. They are a collection of prayers known under the verses of songs or semirot in the Portuguese and Spanish traditions. They can be recited during Shacharit. They are composed of psalms, other biblical verses, and various brachot, blessings. So the recitation has been a common practice in Jewish prayer throughout the course of Jewish history. The Pesukei Simra is a prayer in which the individual praises God before making the requests that are discussed later in Shacharit and throughout the day. So we're going to stop there because I don't want to just fill you with information. I want you to, like I always say, internalize it and think about it. And if you have any questions, please just feel free to do so in the WhatsApp group, or if you want to PM me, privately. Please feel free to do so. So I'm gonna show you. This is my husband's book about Jewish prayer. It's very small. Look at it. Super, super small. Super concise, super simple to read. And also, I didn't mention this on the meditation, small meditation class. I wanted to make it short because I want people to really understand and make it as simple as possible. Because I want people to, whatever information I give them, to internalize it and really think about it. If I make it long, it's too much information. And if the person wants to really dive into meditation, Jewish meditation, there is the book. Okay, let me show you the first one. I think most of you have heard of him. It's Zohar. It's called Meditation. He has a book series on meditation and Judaism. That's one of them. He is really great. And there's another one by him as well, and it's called and if you can see it, it's called Visualization and Imagery. It's Rabbi Dover Pinson. And the other book, let me see. I have one of her books handy, but she's my mentor. It's Miriam Shami, and her book series are Reaching New Heights. And one of them is Reaching New Heights through prayer and meditation. And you should I'm gonna post a link on the WhatsApp group so you can check her out. Hold on a second, let me check something here. Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, yes, Christina. I'm gonna post the books that I'm mentioning right now. I'm gonna be posting them on the group so you can look at it, you can read it. And so my husband's books they're really, really really short and really concise and really easy to understand. So I'm gonna post that. And the book about a meditation and prayer by Miriam Shami, and explains a lot, but she explains it from the perspective of Hasidut. So I wanna tell you beforehand, that's her that's where she's Chabad, so that's the way she sees it. I see it that way. I mean that from the perspective of Hasidut. So but I try to simplify it as much as I can. So I wanna just warn you beforehand. but it's very simple and really easy to understand her and what she's trying to convey. And so anyways, that's pretty much it. So next weekend, which is very exciting, we're going to be having our first shooting in Spanish regarding Halachah for women. And we're having a growing Spanish speaking women that are coming in. So I think it's very exciting. And so again, if you have any questions, or if you know somebody, a friend, or you think that they would be okay in the group, we have a continuous like learning. It's not something that is going to stop. And again, it's something in Judaism, that's the way it is. It's something that we're talking about, yes, on Shabbat. It's something that goes on. We keep learning. I keep learning. And that's the beauty of Judaism. You keep learning. It's something that doesn't stop. And so, because we can grab one paragraph in the Torah, and you can have so many interpretations from it. And that's the beauty of Judaism. You can keep learning on and on and on and on and on and on. So if you don't get something now, you're going to get it later. If you don't get it later, you got a little bit, you got 10%. That's great. That's better. It's better than nothing. So, and so if later on you get another 10, that's great. That's wonderful. So, and that 10%, apply it and do it. Start little by little. And then 10%, another one, and more, and more, and more, and more, and more. Until it becomes so ingrained in yourself that it becomes automatic for you. And so when you're filled with the Torah and Hashem, believe me, your life is just incredible and changes in so many ways. So again, questions, text me, do not hesitate, don't be shy. I'm gonna try my best to answer any questions that you may have. You want to PM me, privately do it. You want to do it in a group. No question is a dumb question. Don't ever think that. That's another one. Don't think that it's whatever question that you may have, it's a dumb thing and you don't say it. No. Don't ever think that. There's no dumb question. So always try to be like as spoken as possible. So that way, whatever doubts you have in your mind, we can work on them. Okay. So all of us, including myself, we're a work in progress. Okay. So I hope that this shiur was helpful to you, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may Hashem bless you with a wonderful week. Okay, and Shavua Tov, everybody, and send a big hug to everybody. Take care. Bye, guys.